evening, everyone. Can anybody hear me? I want to test my mic.
Yes, we can. Good evening,
Right.
Peter.
Good evening, man. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, cohort 16. My name is Peter. I welcome you all to class today. I believe everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, let me know in the chat box. If you can hear me, let me know in the chat box. This class is about communication, so communicate with me. All right. Thank you. You can hear me. All right. All right. So I welcome you all to class. And, I want to indulge party chairman and party members. Get your party members and your colleagues to come to class so that we have enough people in class before class. We have just 4 participants, of which executives are part of. So please let your colleagues know that class has started. So I will continue immediately. All right. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. Okay, please, DED ma. I want to be sure our speaker for today is in the room.
Yes, he is.
All right. Thank you. So we'll just continue as you invite the rest of the class. I'll read out his bio. Today is communication in politics, social media, and our facilitator for today is Kevin Akoje. Forgive me for the pronunciation if I'm wrong. But I'll go ahead and read his bio. Kevin Akoje is a brand engagement consultant, politician, public speaker, security commentator, social analyst, and serial mediapreneur. He ran for a seat in the National Assembly to represent Kogi East Senatorial District in the 2019 elections. He is also the country director for the SDG Radio and the founder of the Climate Action Nigeria. He is a University of Abuja alumni and the prestigious class of 1996 at the Nigeria Defense Academy, where he trained as a master in defense and strategic studies, an avid martial arts enthusiast, climate reality leader, and alternative dispute resolution practitioner, member, Board of Trustees, Electoral College, Nigeria. He was born into a family of 4 siblings in total. He is Catholic and married with 2 kids. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's make welcome with clapping ovation in the chat box, if you may, our facilitator for today, Kelvin Akoje. You're welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. So thank you once more for making yourselves available for this class today. It might seem as if it's not a big feat, but for us in the Electoral College, we hold it dear to our hearts that indeed individuals can take out their time for self-improvement and then also to see how they can better themselves to make for a better constituent and then indeed globally a better Nigeria. So you're all welcome to the class. As the topic stands, political communication, I presume we all have the slides. Do we? Or are you going to be running the slides on the screen so we're on the same page?
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, my voice is a little bit drowned in cold, thanks to the dusty season, but I'll try to be as audible as possible. So, political communication. Let's just have a general overview. There are 2 words, politics and communication. And so we'll be delving into the realm of politics like you've been doing over this period in the cohort and for the many more classes that will come. And then we'll be trying to understand the subsets of communication and how it impacts us politically. The whole idea is to marry both concepts to help us understand basically how we speak what mannerisms that we use to speak, and the mediums that are actually used. Remember, what we have here in this class is to give you a primary understanding that will help you to build a background to, like I said earlier on, being a good constituent, to being a valuable member of Nigeria, and then also, should you want to run for office, you should be able to learn one or two to be able to know how to manage indeed either your campaign team, your political party, or indeed the constituents, or indeed your campaign profile and manifesto, as the case may be, whether you're running for an executive office or for a legislative office. And so we go back to understanding the fact that political communication basically is drawing from those two concepts. And I love to draw from the conversations of Harold Laswell that we lovely call an elder in political communication theory. First, what is politics? That's what we should ask. So has anybody run through that conversation in their hearts, on their thoughts? I'm looking at the comment section. So Harold Laswell defines politics as he who gets what, when, and how. I repeat, he who gets what, when, and how. What means power, political power. When, obviously, during an electioneering process, and how, via the votes from individuals who are basically have suffrage to vote in that particular constituency, as the case may be. And so, drawing from that also, we now coined our own communication definition as he who says what, to whom, when, where, and with which medium. So most likely people like to end with the medium option, but they forget that for whatever communication that you put out, as the scientists call, there's an equal and opposite reaction to that particular information that you will share. And so we'll come back to the definition or the operationalization of politics and communication in a bit. But if you notice, the slide starts with the internet never forgets. So we are in the digital age, and we have a whole lot of platforms in which individuals can share information, consume information, and indeed distort information. And so that is the WWW age. That's WWW, that's World Wide Web age. And so if you think in your little home, in your little office, in your big office, in your big organization, you can just go ahead and spew whatever information you want to put online and think it doesn't have consequences, whether positively or negatively, then I beg to differ, and I pray it doesn't come back at you at the time that you will not need it to, with regards to your activities, as the case may be. Then secondly, I spoke about the people, or here there's a mention of the people will always remember. Remember, we are existing in a, let's limit ourselves to Nigeria now. 774 local governments, so nobody can run away. However you want to place yourself in any area of this politics, you are in Nigeria, and as such, everything that happens in Nigeria will affect you. And so, if you think you can just make a comment, maybe in your local government, and you think nobody will find out, not knowing somebody there is armed with 5 MB and has already tweeted your post, or share those conversations about you, then you are making a mistake. Basic informations that come up for you to understand the part of the people who always remember. And so if you are even part of the political stakeholders, or like called the political class, you even be more weary with regards to the information you share, because the people will never forget. And then the people will always remember. It's interesting that we separated those words. And then next is, who are the people? I just spoke about 774 local governments. So we are the people. Whether you are in Nigeria, whether you're overseas, wherever you're located, So long as a concept is being brought to bear and you are affected, then it means you are the people. And in the case of electioneering time, whichever office is being run for, if you're a constituent in that office, whether you're registered to vote or not, whatever happens in that location or whatever comes of that election is going to impact on your person, your business, your family, your friends, and your relatives. So it behoves on us to be part of the political process so that first we can either sanitize it, either make it better, or pronounce it as it's supposed to be, because whether we like it or not, there is a basic standard in which politics should be played. And like Kunle always says, he says that one of the greatest lies politicians have ever placed in us is telling us that politics is a dirty game. And so, should you sit behind your table or behind your laptop or your phone and you perceive that politics is a dirty game and you do not engage in the process, then persons in that dirt, in quote, will come and lead you. You that is supposedly clean, you that is a professor, you that is a former governor, you that is a former VC, with your entire intellect, maybe not to demean a school dropout, but imagine that a school dropout now oversees your political conversation. Hence, a persistent call and drive for individuals to engage in political participation at the local government level, which we see and know that that is the first handshake of democracy in any nation, especially in a democratic nation. And so if we do not engage that process, we end up getting people who are rather not of our caliber, or indeed because we have entrusted them by our negligence, they now are lording and ruling over us and thinking for us politically, whether we like it or not. And so, remember earlier on we spoke about point of departure for the definition of politics, and then drawing the definition of political communication from Harold Laswell's definition of power. And we have arrived at political communications largely draws on he who says what, who is he saying this to, when is he saying this, or what time, or what is the context in which those communications are shared. Where was this communication shared? Because there's a difference between political conversations during a dinner, political conversations during a conference, and political conversation during a high-level meeting or bilateral meetings, as the case may be. Also, what medium was this information shared? Was it used on the internet? Was it used via mass medium? Was it used via social media? Did you consume this information via information on a website? Or did you see a passing video advertisement? Did you see a billboard? Did you see a flyer? There are multiplicity of options in which information can be shared. And then lastly, the most negligent part, or the one that we always neglect, what was the effect of that communication? So I want you to have at the back of your mind the knowledge that political communication is actually a continuous loop of information, of which the source, as the case may be, changes from either the person issuing the statement out to the people receiving it and now responding as the case may be. So that's getting to understand that there is a continuous loop in communication. Basically, we will not go into the theoretical part aspect of trying to teach you all this because we just have 1 hour to get this done. And I'm not expecting you to submit a thesis with regards to this topic. But the beauty of the college is that you have access to the faculty at any time should you have questions, or should you need answers to 1 or 2 concerns, or should you want to embark on a journey towards, let's use the word, political rebirth or political participation, or even attempting to run for office, as the case may be. We are here for you to lend a helping hand. Luckily for us, a whole lot of persons here are not just speaking theories. We've actually engaged this process and we know and understand. We won't say we know it all, but I can assure you the measure in which we can share. Oh, Umar, you're running in 2027. Amazing. Congratulations to you in advance. And I'm glad you made that decision today. 3 years seems like a long journey, but you will get there in no time and you'll be shocked how you get there. So basic communication theories, like I said, we will not get into that. But let's just breeze through the theories of perception. Wherever you go, they say how you dress is how you'll be addressed. How you speak is how you'll be heard. The level of mannerisms in which you dish out with your conversation is the level of understanding the person that receives it will understand. And so, in talking about theories of perception, we are saying you do not have a second chance to make a first impression, especially in political communication. Why I said that is because your second impression will be taken on its own merit. But you see that goof you made in the first impression, we will never forget. Going back to what we spoke earlier in our conversation. So you need to ensure that whatever information you're putting out, either as an election management body, INEC, a political party, a political office holder, you are a special advisor on media, you are an essay on publicity, a whole lot needs to be put in place before you express any information. And then also, the one that lacks most, that basically annoys everybody in the ecosystem, is a lack of research. You want to put out conversation on a particular matter and you have not researched into it, and you just jump into the conversation, albeit reactionary, progressively, empathetically, or diplomatically. So these four options are what we also partly discuss or get to understand while we continue our conversation with regards to political communication. I repeat once more, the four contexts of perception: reactionary, progressive, empathetic, diplomatic. So keep that at the back of your minds while we continue running through. Okay, so the whole idea of putting the concept of the art of seduction is, what is seduction? Okay, so someone does not seduce you to do what you do not want to do. So I cannot seduce you into making $1 million because it doesn't work that way. I can only seduce you based on the power I have from my end and a basic assumption of what you need at that particular time. And so that is the concept of seduction. If you have the other one in your head, please jettison those ideas. We're talking strictly book-wise right now. And so we continue. Political communication. Remember, we spoke about the responsiveness option. He who says what to whom, when, where, with what effect, let's use that, what medium, So these are basically how we'll be coining the entire concept. And I'll say, largely in the conversations of political communication, our primary concern is responsiveness and engagement. And so the responsiveness and engagement ratio is very, very key. Move to the next slide. Political communication. Perfect. So remember, we said he who says what to whom, how, what effect, and where. So before we come back to the basic underpinnings, like I said earlier on, this is political communication, social media. The whole idea is to give you a basic understanding to see how you can use these tools and start up work without wasting time. And so we talked about the World Wide Web. And so in talking about the World Wide Web, we're talking about websites, microsites, as the case may be. And then one of the things that we need to bear in mind in the World Wide Web is the fact that should you occupy any position, be you an influencer, be you a politician, be you a political office holder, the election management body, a parastatal that has a website, it behoves on you to ensure that the information you put on that website is fact. Hence the recent call by different spheres of the ecosystem with regards to fact checking. And we know our good friends in CGID created Dubawa, which we always review and use to ensure that you do not come and misrepresent the facts. Let us not call it lies, since we're in the class and we're intellectuals here. Let's not use vulgar words like lies. So let nobody come and misrepresent facts for anybody. And so that website, we need to ensure that that website is secure. I do not want to put two direct examples, but we know that in America, we had two individuals running for presidency, and one of them, obviously his team did not take note of the fact that his web domain was going to expire. And so the other party took liberty to buy up his campaign page, bought up his campaign page, and then edited all the information on the campaign page to suit his own campaign. So you can imagine how embarrassing that is for start. And then imagine that you have a website that is not secure, or you do not put attention to security. And so let's throw a direct example to, let's say, INEC website, where we're supposed to come and consume information about the 774 local governments, the multiplicity of words in all the states, the positions that are available to run for in a state, which is the governor, the state legislative assembly, the local government, and the local council. Imagine that we come there and we see pornographic materials on the website of INEC. How will you feel? Okay, Olawale, I see. Beautiful. So it means we have old hands here. So please remember, the idea is that we all work together. To be the best at what we do, we need to work together, and we need to be able to share this information and the wealth of your experience with others. Nigeria has over 250 million people, which we know is not complete. And we in the Electoral College, we've only done this much amount of cohorts, and we've only been able to meet this amount of people. Yes, we are approaching 10,000, but imagine what is 10,000 but a drop in an ocean of 250 million people that we need to get literate and understand what it means to hold government of the day accountable and responsible, as the case may be, wherever we find ourselves. So back to what we're discussing. So imagine that you go to the website of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and then you consume pornographic material. It will be a shock to you, because why will a government parastatal take lightly their security? Same with you running for an office. Same with you in your basic businesses and what have you. So you need to ensure that your website is secure. You need to ensure that the name of your website is not ambiguous. When I ran for Senate, my website was simple: www.akojeforsenate.com. Simple. Nigerians, we do not have patience to help you think or to make us think what you want us to understand. And so if you go and you are trying to write the name of the website and you are putting a long text like www.independentnationalelectoralcommission.ng, me and you, some of us might misspell it. And so we might end up not being able to access the real INEC website. But if they do www.inec.org, it's a lot cute. We know it's an acronym. And I think we'll be able to remember all of this. Same with the content tabs on that particular website. You need to ensure that the information that is put there as such that represents what you are basically underpinning, or your basic position on whatever it is, whether you're running for office or whatever level of the stakeholder engagement you are in. And then Wikipedia, yes, the claim or whatever claims we have, we all know that in these climes here, we consume a whole lot of content from Wikipedia. And so it will be necessary, or if you can, ensure that the narrative that is put out of you or for you on Wikipedia or all those free places or blogs is as expected and not a misrepresentation of facts and figures. Search engine optimization, we all know, like I said earlier, Nigerians, we're not patient. And so if I search for your content and it doesn't appear on the first search page of Google or Phoenix browser or what have you, I don't think I'll have the patience to scroll to the 7th page to consume the information where your website is, as the case may be. Then adverts and promotion. Remember, we're talking about the web. You can do adverts and promotions online, but the focus of your adverts and promotions should be such that it hits your direct target demographic. Do not go and do an advert or a promotion amiss. Take, for instance, you are running for a seat in Abuja Municipal Area Council, and you are doing adverts and promotions and you are targeting Buhari, when Buhari is a different area council in the FCT. So it means whoever consumes your content there, for whatever reason, if at all you get lucky, is maybe if they have a friend in Amak, then they can say, come, hello, do you know about this person running for chairmanship in Amak? I think he's a great guy. You should vote for him. If that does not happen, then your advert and promotion has been a complete waste. So that's that. Then we talk about, remember we said he who says what to whom, when, and what medium. That medium is also part of the platforms that we need to understand. We talked about mass media. We'll be talking about the different types of mediums, and then we'll be trying to understand basics, and then what would I call it? The basics of using those platforms such that you use them effectively and such that you do not go out of their governance structure and post content that they do not accept. And so, talking about mass media, mass mediums have been with us from time past, from when our parents were having conversations under the trees, as they say, cockroach at dawn, excuse me. Pardon me. So from conversations under the clouds, behind the clouds, as the case may be, under the trees, town criers moving from left to right, expressing information, political gatherings in the town hall, in the market square. All of these are what has progressed into the present mediums we have, where we have television, we have radio, we have podcasts now coming largely, we have online radios, we have streaming platforms where you can consume information. But in all of this, basically, what are they striving to hold? Is such that whatever narrative that is being showcased is as it should be, not ambiguous or a misrepresentation of fact, aka lies. And so wherever you are, you need to ensure that whatever information is being put out there, like I said, is a narrative that you so desire and not one that is amiss. And so in talking about mediums, we see social media. Luckily for us in Nigeria and in most parts of the world, these days our phones come preloaded with different social mediums. And if we want to look through, I'm sure by the time you look through the next slide, you see a couple of icons that you do not even recognize or have not even engaged before. That's because there are a billion and one social media platforms. In short, as I'm talking, I'm sure someone's even thinking about setting up one. At least, but thank God for the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Zoom that we're using now, and YouTube, X, as the case may be, that we can use without having to pay some level of subscription. So these are free mediums. And so it is necessary that should you be engaging in showcasing whatever information as the case may be, being that you want to showcase to Nigerians, we advise that it's in your best interest that you explore these free mediums or mass mediums, because a whole lot of Nigerians, both in Nigeria and in diaspora, and indeed many people in the world, are consuming content or are showcasing content using these few platforms that I just mentioned. Not to say that they are the only ones that we will be using, as the case may be. And so, in your trying to understand the operational procedures of this platform, you need to know which is used for what. I tried to do some basic analogy with trying to get you to understand what is a networking platform, where is a blogging platform, where you have for video sharing and for photo sharing. But I guess you people are the best at it now, because they say for you to be using Zoom right now, it means you should be good at it. But please note that should you want to network, Facebook, Google Plus, LinkedIn provides you an ample location for you to showcase whatever information you are trying to put out about yourself, your organization, or what you stand for, as the case may be. So I do not see an electioneering year coming through, and we do not have a profile of the president on LinkedIn for whatever interesting reason whatsoever. Or you are running for a position of Senate in your state. Yes, it's located in Abuja, and as such, the people in Abuja are, in quote, intellect and consume these places. So why wouldn't you go ahead and create a profile there for people to understand your person? Luckily for us, our democracy is as adopted. I don't want to use the word borrowed, is as adopted, and we are learning and building and engaging the process daily. If there's anything I'll say is that in as much as our democracy is as adopted, we have been able to basically manage this process and bring out a locally led faction or a locally led adaptation of our interpretation of democracy right here in Nigeria. And it's a thing that we should be proud of and we should strive to continue to do every single day as the years go by. So you understand these platforms, and then basically you don't need to be told. It's because they are free. So yeah, you might have better explore these platforms to be able to see what you will do. So when you understand what you can do on these platforms, you know what the size of text you can post, what's the size of video you can post, what's the size of information you can share. And then with that basic knowledge and underpinnings, you'll be able to understand how to basically showcase yourself using those platforms. In political communication, we like to bring in the concept of marketing. The concept of marketing is here because what exactly happens in the marketplace? Promoting and selling products, goods, or services. And so let's say promoting a candidacy, selling a candidacy, promoting a political party, selling that political party. The election management body invited everybody to register to vote, ensure that they are above 18, educating the people, which is promotion, on their basic rights, responsibilities, and obligations. So the concept of political participation obviously is the marketplace. And so we need to treat it as such. And so you will not just come and showcase a product or service without any level of research. Like I said earlier in the beginning, if you do not research, you will not be able to exploit the basic gains of the area in which you are about to showcase information or the equal and opposite reaction you're trying to get. Take, for instance, you're selling your candidacy and you want to vote or be voted for. If you do not understand the research of how many words exist in the place, how many banners you should do, how you should locate the banners, should you want to use flyers, how many flyers you should make, your campaign party traveling around your local government, how many words. And so you need to understand all of this. Yes, Umar, I can see they are more interested in the marketing, but that is also political communication. Remember, controlling the narrative is the crux of the matter. And so if someone is out there marketing you, putting out alternative facts, then make sure you have a place in which individuals can come and consume the right information about your person in content, character, and what have you. So it behoves on you to make sure that you exploit those either free platforms or you improve your PR budget to ensure that it embraces as much as comes at you when they are marketing you. So if they've gone to blogs to market you, you also go to blogs to and flood them with stories about that particular subject matter, or you promote your website where people can come and see the true facts about the information, or you showcase your own YouTube page where you put out videos or any video sharing platform where you put out videos educating the people on the basic understanding of the position of the day. Remember, the marketplace does just come in isolation or from oblivion. The marketplace is coming because there exists a problem to be solved. There is a problem to be solved, or there is a position to be taken in the case of running for office, or there is an ancestry to be usurped, or what language will I use? A lineage to be exploited. That's a lineage to be exploited. Let's use that adjective. So the marketplace comes also because you have the right product and service to offer, which you are so passionate about, and so you believe that you are the right person for this job, or you believe that the election management body, as a member of staff in that organization, people are doing the very best to educate the people of Nigeria, or you are in the National Orientation Agency and you know that you are doing it to the best of your ability, or you're in the marketplace because you just need a job. Yes, it might sound funny because they are actually politicians that are there because they just need a job. They actually don't care how the people they lord over is. They don't care how They bring out policies or programs. They don't even bring out some policies or programs. They're just there because, oh, it's the end of the month and I'm going to get paid. And so we have diversified reasons in which people are in the marketplace. And so whichever way you place yourself, remember, the product is key. What price is that product going for? What range of activities can you do to showcase that activity or your position? And then where exactly in the marketplace are you? Are you in Kogi? Are you in Kaduna? Are you in Maiduguri? Are you in Yola? Are you in Ibadan? Are you in Ekiti? Are you in Oshobo? You need to understand that. And so, talking about product, remember, I talked about either running for office in the executive or the legislature. Price. What price are you willing to pay? The person that said he ran in 2019, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, you will have known the price you paid, whether in coin or in time or in mental well-being. Yes, I think we need to bring that too also to the whole idea of discussing price. Because whether you like it or not, should you want to run for office in Nigeria as stipulated by Nigerian Constitution, we do not have independent candidacy. You need to come through a political party. And so if your political party says your party ticket is 12 billion, however intelligent you are, if you do not have 12 billion to buy that party ticket, take your good self to your seat, but arm yourself with your voter's card so you can vote at least. Since you cannot run for office, remember, the Constitution gives you a right of universal suffrage to vote or be voted for. So if you cannot be voted for, does not mean you have been neglected in the scheme of things. And so the price also include you doing advertisements, producing flyers, printing T-shirts, and we always like to use this word to laugh. We hear individuals shouting, they have been in the trenches for many years, who have been doing this, who have been doing that. And I ask you, in all of your doings, have you moved 1,000 naira of your money to print a poster, hang it, and watch it rip down for whatever reason? Either your opponents trying to please theirs or for whatever reason. But until you can envisage that part, the whole lot of the trenches conversation, it makes sense, but it's part of it. So don't feel as though you've been in the trenches and then you're only the best guy. It's not, and then neglecting others that are also in the ecosystem, doing their very best to make either the position or the place a better place. Let's just promotions, you know. Like I said, it's the marketplace is a whole lot of it's a melting point of where we're trying to get everything done. Remember, we spoke about social media platform. I will not go into basically trying to explain to you their basic operational principles of how they are used and all that, because I presume you all have an idea of how to use all these platforms. So what we'll just go basically is running all the way to slide 22. Questions to ask before posting on social media. Remember, we talked about political communication as he who says what, to whom, when, where. Alali, you paid mentally heavy. Okay, so that's why I said we need to bring this to the fore now. Mental health check is very key. Let's not digress too much. Okay, so what questions do you need to ask before making that post on any public medium, free whatsoever, or you're paying for airtime on a public TV, be it NCA or private stations, as the case may be? This particular update, does it have value? Well, you're supposed to be posting stick because you borrowed 5 MB from your network service provider. You just feel like dumping rubbish because, after all, Facebook says what is on your mind. And WhatsApp is asking, what are you doing today? And Twitter is asking, X is saying, what are you going to chirp about? Since before now, the logo of X was a bird, and we know birds go chirping all day long. So, does this update have value? Is this update speaking to your target audience? Remember, you can't be running for the governorship of Osun State and you are campaigning in the FCT. It is not possible. You first, or if at all you want to actually embrace the people of your origins in the FCT, you need to start first in your local area, your direct constituency. That is where you should put the bulk of your spendings, your adverts, and your promotions, because that is the people you are coming to represent directly. Anybody in diaspora, we love them and we love what they do for us, but you need to ensure that you are speaking to the right audience. And is this update basically relevant to what you are speaking about? Okay, in town hall meetings, please, can we not get us excited, right? So, is this topic or theme of your object related to what you are basically showcasing? You are running for Senate and you are talking about building roads, building dams, paying school fees. Duties of a legislative officer are largely different from the duties of an executive officer. And so we hope that even in this education that we're going through in this cohort in the electoral college, I don't expect you to see someone campaigning and the person is running for a legislative office and he's telling you, I'll build roads and I'll do this, and you just fold your hands and consume that information without fact checking that person, because people in the legislative office do not do those activities. Forget the anomaly that is being practiced in Nigeria, where constituency allowance is released. Like I said, we have an interesting way of domesticating our own democracy. The big men felt that all talks without any bite in their localities or their constituencies do not make them strong enough. And so, however they coined it and however with all brilliance they did, constituency funding was removed and given to them. And so you see a legislative officer building borehole in his constituency. But by the grace of the Constitution, that is not his job. His job is to legislate, oversight, and promote or build out bills, as the case may be, whether you're in the upper house of the Senate or in the lower house, the House of Reps. Or if you are even in the local government, in local government council, or you are in the State House of Assembly. So back to questions to ask. Does this update match the best practices of that particular platform you are going to use? At least we are all aware now that if you go and post nonsense on some platforms, the platform will even bring it down on your behalf because you are misrepresenting facts. And we know that before X was sold to Elon Musk, we had a whole lot of fact checking that was done on that platform. And then people continued to misuse those information, and then they were being brought down. And that is still being, according to what we heard, being followed through by X in basic understanding of the best practices of using those platforms. So while we're talking that in general, remember, in all of this, your political communication must have strategy. Like I said earlier on, your political communication should not be amiss. It should not be ambiguous. It should be intentional. Prioritizing your objectives of what that communication is going to be, understanding the basic practices, the best practices of that particular platform or their governance activity, defining your activities of what you're going to do. And so we see INEC telling us that from this month to this month is voter education, from this month to this month is voter registration. Voter registration closes, campaign starts, campaign stops here, and then voting starts here. Voting starts at what hour? If you have this particular voter's card, this is your polling unit. This is the ward in which you're going to, because it might sound very funny, but if you do not know your ward before election day, it might pose a challenge for you because we have restriction of movement in Nigeria whenever it's electioneering time. And so you may end up being disenfranchised by your own doing or whatever lack of understanding that may come your way. And we do not want that, because the few people that vote are already not even enough to be the basic expression of the whims and caprices or aspirations of the people. And so if you vote already and we now lose your vote, it's going to be a pain in the heart, you know. Develop capabilities of yourself, your office, your position, your staff, your team, engage in conversation. Remember, we said in political communication, what we basically, or the crux of the matter is responsiveness and engagement. And so if we have that on check or by your team, then it means you are doing well with regards to what you are selling in the marketplace. Remember, because what you are selling in the marketplace has a price. Nobody wants to pay a price without having, quote, returns on investment. And so with regards to that, what are the returns on investment on your social media strategy? What are the returns on investment in your social media strategy? And what have you? So how do you measure that? We have options in which you can use listening tools to be able to understand how you have been able to exploit these platforms. We have you being able to retrieve your reports and analytics from these platforms to be able to understand basically what you put out, or is there a need for you to boost a post, or is there a need for you to jump in on a recent trend. And the one now is we listen, we don't judge. I'm sure most of you can relate, but that is not a conversation with me. But trend jacking. Remember, your duty is showcasing information. And then should you be even trend jacking, you need to make sure that the trend that you are jacking or trying to latch upon is not going to be injurious to your position. And so I don't see a small business owner or an individual running for a position in local government now trendjacking the death of someone to showcase his political aspiration. That is not an empathetic reaction whatsoever. And so those are things that you need to understand basically in trying to understand your return of investment on your basic communication or media strategy, as the case may be. So remember, we said, he who says what, to whom, when, where, what medium, and with what effect. We need to remember, like I talked about, updates on digital platforms. But now, should you want to speak audio, audibility, video, as the case may be, you need to learn how to talk. And so, if you do not know how to talk, it's going to be a basic problem. You need to know when to talk. You need to know who you are talking to. That is your constituency. Because if you don't know who you are talking to, like I said earlier, it will be a mess. You need to understand the manner in which you speak. When you watch movies from advanced Western democracies, you see political office holders going for certain campaigns and they're saying his shoes should not be completely shiny, it should be a little bit scuffed, he should talk in, but his sleeves should be folded because he's talking to persons in the middle class, or should he be going to this place, he should have one or two influencers alongside him, or he should have some people of the community with him, so there's a whole lot in your delivery. So we do not expect you, because you are running for Senate and then you want to come and campaign to your people, and every single time you are wearing Bambariga. Sorry to use the word Bambariga, because I am from northern origin and I'm trying to put a basic dressing of a masquerade. A masquerade does not dress as a masquerade every single time. No, it doesn't. You only dress when it's supposed to be. And so you need to know when to dress, how to dress, where you are going to, and how to dress in that light. Let me put Kogi State as an example. If you are going to Ibadan local government, I do not advise you to wear a babariga. Or I don't advise you to wear white, because the road will stain your clothes. The road is dusty. Or if you are in Abuja and you have to use public transportation, and where you are going to, you need to have an immaculate appearance. I advise you put your good clothes in the bag and wear casual clothes. Then when you get to close by to where you're going to, you find where you can change to. You imagine what will carry you go. Umar, you have an idea of my local government. So back to our basic mannerisms on how to talk. So remember, I spoke earlier on patterns. if you are speaking, are you reactionary? Are you progressive? Are you empathetic? Or are you diplomatic? And so let's bring a subject matter to bear, a case of flood victims in Borno. We all know that the dams have been in severe challenges for years or has limitation. We all know payment has been made for upgrade or replacement, whatever language we want to be, want to put out. But however, right now what we have is that flooding has taken place, lives have been lost, properties have been lost, livelihoods has been thrown away. If you are the special assistant to the governor for media, what is the option in which you will showcase your political communication? Remember, you need to be aware that people's feelings and thoughts will be impacted. So, are you going to be reactionary in your approach without even investigating or maybe engaging the National State Emergency Management Agency or other stakeholders before you put out your press release? Are you going to be diplomatic in expressing your words to the people that their livelihoods were impacted? So these are the range of activities that should color how you are going to talk. And then the exact time you are going to talk. Is your press release going to come out right immediately after the flooding has taken place, or after 1 hour, after 2 hours, or until 9 p.m. news? And remember, this flooding took place in Maiduguri, and so I don't expect you to be paying blogs that are largely, let's say, something happened in Maiduguri, and you're paying a blog in Osun reporters to showcase that news, when you should be looking for a blogger that is Borno reporters, that you know that his target audience consume information on this platform. So these are the things that you need to understand in when you must talk. Remember, we are still talking about the political communication process. Let us narrow down to some direct stakeholders: political party, the political process, case of town hall meetings, constituency, ward meetings. So how do politicians and electorates communicate? One of the basic options is through a political party. So you are either a member of that political party, either by registration, or like we see in advanced democracies, sometimes by birth or affiliation, as the case may be. And so you already have a political ideology cut out for you. People always talk about Nigerian political parties as not having ideology. But as a person that engaged in the registration of a political party extensively when I ran for office, before I ran for office, I can tell you that INEC does not joke with that particular subject matter of your registration for you to become a licensed political party in Nigeria. You must submit your manifesto. Your logo should not look like or have a semblance of any party that has existed in the past or that is existing in the present. So there's a whole lot of checks that take place before a political party is formed. So whether you do not know that party or not, I just want you to know that a whole lot of thought, energy, and verification has gone through before that particular party's name was created or allowed to exist. Let's use that word. So we have the national chairman, the ESCO, and then card-carrying members of the political party. So you see now, if we have somebody now that is leading as the governor of the state, is obviously a flag bearer for that particular state. And then he triggers the communication process in the party many a times, if not checked. Remember, the only vehicle to political office in Nigeria as we are now, I don't know what will happen in the future, but as we are now is through a political party. And that is one of the mediums in which politicians and electorates basically interface. The electioneering period, I talked about the call for voter registration, time of voting, process before election, the period immediately after election, where is characterized by vote counting and announcements, certificate of returns being issued, individuals being sworn into office. And while that's happening, we have individuals that will be in the court, basically trying to pursue their agenda with regards to anomalies that would have happened during the election. Or is it the case wherein the person representing us in this location is not doing well, and we, the electorates, or we, the constituents of that particular location, are saying, come, we need this person to be recalled because he's not expressing, or he's not basically putting out the aspirations of us as a people in this particular party or in this particular location. Or is it in the case of a referendum? You know, we have town hall meetings. Beautiful for us now. Most of the political office holders do not take this for granted anymore. It's not enough for you to be seated in the hallowed chambers in Abuja and then your constituents do not have a handshake with you. Over time, your credibility and your position, indeed, your power will be eroded. So it's good to know that these political office holders are not forgetting their constituency and are bringing that to mind because, interestingly, whatever they think they are in the center comes from the power that we give them from the constituency. You know, another medium in which political parties or politicians and electorates communicate is through letters. You can send a letter either by post or by email to the election INEC, to your constituency. We remember when the campaign by Yaga was done for Not Too Young to Run, it was very obvious that they put the contact or contact details of individuals that were influential in bringing out this bill for individuals to talk to their representative to say they should lend a vote of confidence to the Not Too Young to Run bill. You know, so, or call your senator or SMS your House of Representatives member or in the state assembly, as the case may be. There's a particular law that wants to come to bear, and we need it to be this way, and so we are heading towards this path, and so you have to influence them. So these are the basic ways in which politicians and electorate communicate. Like I said earlier on, the concept of political communication, an hour is not even enough for us to drop it through. But we should understand that in as much as it is a subset or is a basic underpinning of politics and communication, we need to understand the concept of power, which, according to Harold Laswell, it says, he who gets what, when, and how. We need to understand the concept of communication in the context of politics. He who says what, when, how, when, and with what effect, or what engagement was drawn for that conversation. So these are things that we should have at the back of our minds. And then if there's anything I'll say is, and electoral college, as part of one of the ways of improving political communication, you are grouped into pseudo political parties and you engage the process. So we mean business here in the electoral college, and we mean you well. I want you to be the best you can be as an individual and to be a viable and valuable member of the community of nations worldwide and in your state or wherever you're located. So now we'll just dabble into a couple of questions and answers before we close this class in the next hour, as the case may be. So, class coordinator, this is the best I can put together in trying to talk for 59 minutes. I hope I've convinced and not confused you with my basic underpinnings or understanding of what political communication is. Thank you.
That was an excellent presentation, sir, an educative one. So we'll go into the Q&A now. And if anyone wants to ask a question, you know what to do. Raise your virtual hands and then drop your question in the chat box. So we'll do it this way. We take one question from the audience, then we read the other one from the chat box. Any hands up? Any questions? Okay. Stephen or Dolly, you go first. I'll ask you to unmute. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. And great kudos for the class. It's a very insightful one and very relatable. So my question basically is around the rule of engagement, especially when it comes to campaigning and all, right? Um, I feel like during campaign, it's a chance to exploit the mistakes or weaknesses of an opponent. But to what extent? And are there, provisions in the constitution that guide campaign, as it were? To what extent should a particular party go, especially on the offensive or like aggressive towards other parties? I think that's my question. Thank you very much.
So let's get the next question before we start answering.
Oh, okay. How many questions before you start answering, sir?
So we can do two. So we'll just not get anything muddled up.
All right, sir. All right. Okay, so Boluwatife Agbono, please go on and ask your question. I'll ask you to unmute.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful class and lectures. So, a quick one. I just want to understand crisis in communication. How do you handle crisis in communication? For example, if I'm playing the role of a publicity secretary and I'm the one handling a party's social media handles and there is a campaign going on and they said a lot of bad things about my party on social media, on Twitter, that has gone viral. How do I undo this? How do I go back on social media and tell the people that this information is false? So how do I undo crisis in communication? Thank you very much, sir.
So if I may start by providing answers. So there is no codification or there's no handbook that basically brings out the ethical responsibilities of politicians, be it before an electioneering program or during that process. So it behoves on us basically to ensure best practices, good governance operations.
You're muted, sir. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was sneezing, so I had to mute myself.
All right.
So ethical responsibility of politicians. There's no basic document that says this is how they should react or this is how they should behave. And so we need to take a whole lot with a pinch of salt, and we need to take a whole lot drawing out of individuals acting professionally or in professionalism. And so I do not expect that at a polling booth, a collation officer should be the person telling people how to queue, because his duty is to collate the vote. Or a returning officer at a ward trying to collect or trying to influence votes, or the state commissioner or the resident electoral commissioner for a particular state to be outside canvassing for votes. So it behoves on you to understand your roles and responsibilities and then act as such. We all know that this does not mean there will not be anomalies. But in the case of an anomaly, how do you manage? This is what we are talking about with regards to ethical responsibility, because whether you like it or not, if someone wants to boo or jeer your campaign, they have a right to speak as enshrined in the Constitution. So what your own duty should be is how much noise have they made and how can you manage it? Now going to the part of the publicity secretary. Someone just mentioned what is the skill set for start of the person to be made the publicity secretary. We need to understand that this is 2024. Enough of putting square pegs in round holes. It doesn't help you as an organization or an individual. So first, you need to ensure that you have a square peg in a square hole. Crisis management. If they have put out content on social media, you're already armed with the best practices options of the usage of that platform. And so I don't expect you to use that platform and now say, ignorance is a bastard. I do not expect you to use that kind of language, because that already is an abusive language and derogatory as the case may be. That I'm ignorant of a particular subject matter does not mean I'm ignorant as a whole. So that is why it behoves on you to educate me. But that aside, so you have crisis to manage, social mediums were used. Then what I need to see you as public secretary is doing adverts and promotion, showcasing your website, showcasing your social media handle, and then putting out content on that platform for people to see of the basic truth of the matter. Remember, Nigerians, we are not patient. And so if you go and you put a link on YouTube, in Twitter, for me that I came to browse on Twitter, to now start going to YouTube to consume what you want to tell me is going to be a problem. So instead, I'd advise that you cut that video into minute options and post on Twitter, so that me that I want to use Twitter for 30 minutes, you do not take my attention to YouTube, because now this particular 30 minutes is for Twitter. Same with if I'm on Facebook. If you want to employ the use of pictures, infographics, text, as the case may be, ensure that that information is being addressed on that platform. And because you are addressing it in its entire length, the fact checking will be there. So it now behoves on people to either believe the truth or consume the lie. But a whole lot in that particular case now draws on your sphere of influence or the amount of funds you have to showcase your activity. And then also don't forget the initial part of when we talked about, if you are even expressing your statements with regards to the lies that have been thrown out, are you reactionary, progressive, empathetic, or diplomatic? You need to know the context in which you'll be able to respond. So someone just said daily posting on those same platforms to counter the narrative that is being showcased, being that it is a distortion of fact that was being showcased. So I believe I've answered the two questions that have been posed.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. So we'll take another question from the chat box. From Charity. Charity says, what's the best way for a party to deal with propaganda, either against the candidate or the party?
So we're in the sphere of politics. Propaganda must happen. And so if you do not expect people to come and pursue their own personal agenda, then you're obviously coming to a gunfight with a knife, or how will I place it? But the intentionality of your communication process is what is at stake. Are you even serious with yourself? Or are you even serious with what you are showcasing? A basic definition of propaganda is showcasing a biased or a misleading set of information. And as always, it's used to promote a political cause or a certain point of view. And so we can say, let's use the definition of advanced democracies, where you have Democrats and Republicans. And so you do not expect a Republican to act in a particular way with regards to a certain subject matter. Same with, you don't expect a Democrat to act in a particular way with respect to a certain subject matter. Yes, there should be a rationality to it, but agenda, let me use our local parlance, agenda will always agenda. It is now left for you, a politically individual, to now sieve through the propaganda that is shared and showcased, to now understand the point of view of yourself and how you can use that information to make yourself better, or to even make the country better, or to even get your job done better, as the case may be.
Thank you very much, sir.
I can see a question by Rajabu Mohammed.
Okay.
Mainly in politics, we aim to drive the society towards success through alternative ways from the This is not a question.
I'm not sure that's the question.
No, not a question. Yes.
Let's take from those that are raising their hands, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
All right. Umar
As a politician,
Abubakar.
how do you manage or control your wife's involvement in public and mass media? So we need to understand that largely it's not only the case of the wife, there's also how do you control your husband's involvement in public and mass media if the political office holder is female. So remember, we are here for serious business. And so if you have a role to play, I do not see anything about any basic rationalism where you see the wife to the essay or media and publicity out and doing, I don't even know what level of, basically, let's just use the word, a whole lot of anomalies is being experienced in the practice of democracy in Nigeria. And so we are talking about the office of the first lady or the office of the first man. We need to ensure that in managing those locations, government funds are not misappropriated. Let's state the facts. So long as government funds are not misappropriated, taxpayers' money are not misappropriated, whatever they want to do with themselves within the ambit of the Constitution, they can do. So should they want to engage in charitable activities, political activities, as the case may be, they have every right as enshrined in the Constitution. But the basic underpinning is the usage of taxpayers' funds should not be misappropriated. I think that's just where we should just leave it at that. And then the person is your spouse, as the case may be. You know them better than we know them. So you should be able to know how to manage them. In other words, amidst other conversation. So back to the people raising their hands. Please go ahead. Take the lead.
All right, sir. Umar Abubakar Sadiq. I've asked you to unmute. Please go ahead and unmute.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Honorable Umar Abubakar Sadiq. I intend to represent the good people of Kaduna South Federal Constituency, Kaduna State, come 2027. Now, my question is this. I have a publicity secretary for my campaign. I also have a social media manager. Since we have discussed extensively on communication, now, must I personally respond and react to every social media question, banter, demarketing, propaganda? If no, will that affect my social media visibility? Thank you, sir.
So, social media visibility draws from the usage of the platform and basically applying the basic best practices, either from using hashtags, short videos, infographics, text, audio, and what have you. So people will respond to you. If you notice, what some individuals try to do as their self is responses that is done directly by them. Those responses are signed either with their initials. The responses that are done by the media team will not have the politicians' initials written there. So with that, you have first identified two persons using that particular platform. But it does not give you the liberty for you to have your handlers post rubbish on your platform. Because remember, the people will never forget, and the internet never forgets. So I expect that your team of handlers will be professional, will be well trained, and they have a basic understanding of those platforms, and they know how to respond to scenario. Like I said, the first option to responding to scenario is research. It is because we are not researching, that is why people end up responding to scenarios reactionary, progressively, empathetically, or diplomatic. When you research, when you understand, you will know how to respond. And remember, no response is actually a response. You do not need to respond to everything every single time, because interestingly, your availability matters. So if you end up being a social media advocate, instead of somebody on the street trying to canvass for votes, it to shoot you in the foot during campaign and even on election day, because not everybody uses technology. And so if you are busy responding, they say, I know this person responds very well. If you tag him on Twitter, he will respond to you immediately. But the people on the streets that don't have Twitter to tag you, are you capturing their own thoughts and opinions with regards to the seat you are going to run for come 2027? That should be the main bane of your activity.
Thank you very much, sir. We have 2 hands raised now. We'll take the 2 questions so that you answer them together, sir. Kayode Lawal, please go on and ask a question. Kayode Lawal. We can't hear you, Kayode, if you can hear us. But then let's Lekki Mene. Please go on and ask your question while we wait for Kayode Lawal. Lekki Mene.
Thank you very much. Good evening, all. Good evening.
Good evening.
My question is in this communication process, is there any procedure for need to know? For example, most times, let's look at the way communications are being done in Nigeria most times in political parties, that the person representing the media will say something, then the principal will say, no, I didn't approve it. Just in the case of Atiku Abubakar, once they posted something, he said, no, I'm not aware. So is there a need to know process in this communication while doing political campaign? That is one. Two, there are some situations that, as a publicity officer, you are in somewhere and the media just rushed you and you've not been able to consult your principal or other political party members. In situations like that, how do you handle such situations when they ask you some pertinent questions that you yourself know that this should have been discussed with the party members or your principal first? How do you handle such situation? Thank you.
All right. Kayode Lawal, I'm hoping you are there now. If not, they'll go on with the question and then that'll be all. Kayode Lawal, I've asked you to unmute if you are there. Okay, I think his network is bad. Kayode Lawal, we can't hear you. Please go on with the questions, sir. Please answer the questions. Mr. Kevin, sir.
I was saying, I missed the question. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, for Kayode Lawal.
So I missed the last question that was said. I logged out mistakenly. So I just came back into the platform again. That's why I was chatting initially, because I couldn't unmute myself initially.
Oh.
So what was the question?
Kayode Lawal, please go again.
It wasn't Kayode that.
Yeah, it was Kayode. Okay, Lekki.
Yes.
Lekki.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Very brilliant question, Lekki. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I said, what is how in the process of communication, how do we handle the need to know? And I gave one example when Atiku Abubakar, they posted something on his page and he was like, no, I'm not aware of it. So how do we handle the need to know in a political setting? Then the second question is that, as a publicity officer, you went somewhere and before you realized, the cameramen are already on your face, that they're asking you some pertinent questions that you yourself, that, yes, these questions should have been discussed with your principal or your party members first. How do you handle such situation? How do you respond to situations like that? Thank you.
So, like I said earlier on, you and your campaign team, for all we care outside, are one. So, should you want to manage your platform such that whenever you speak or use these platforms, you sign it to show that you are the one typing directly? Or You just see the information there, and you know it's a team of handlers that responded to it. We don't care how you want to manage that process. We want to believe that for whatever is being brought out has gone through your own operational procedures, fact-checked, reviewed by the content creator to a manager, and a confirmation has been made before that content is put out. Remember, we talked about if you must post, what is the basic value of that post? Is that post speaking to your target audience? Is that post related to what you want to speak about? For all we care, your candidacy and your person represents all we want to see. So you have to be in the know at every particular time. Yes, you are human. And so you can take one for the team by saying, you did not know this happened, but it is what it is. If it's your website that is hacked, somebody should pay the price for not doing his or her job. So that is one. Then two, I think you talked about when the camera hits you and you've not discussed with your principal. We all know that persons in media prefer to catch you unguarded. And so you need to have your best foot forward and your best brains behind your team that understand the character of your candidacy. And so if I know the manifesto of my party and a reporter asks me a question, I know how we relate and what is the basic reaction of our party to this matter. And so I don't need to tell you that when the Labour Congress, maybe the chairman of the Labour Congress is speaking, and at any day, at any point in time, you come and you ask him about minimum wage, you tell you, no, it's okay for Nigerians to receive 1,000 naira as minimum wage. It's not possible. He already knows what the Labour Congress stands for. And so he will just put it out there. And so if at all you need to consult your principal, you state it, please, no comments at this time. That is why it is good that you have a very engaging platform to showcase information. And so I know that you're a publicity secretary, we caught you off guard, but because we know we have asked you these questions, we know that in the next 20 minutes, you are going to update your website with the answer of this. Or in the next 5 minutes, you're going to update your social media with the answers to this. It shows you are responsive. And so the political communication loop has gone through a perfect cycle because we've asked your question, you have gone to do your research, and you have consulted with your principal, and in less than 5 to 10 minutes, you have given us a reaction or your own point of view with regards to the matter. Would rather love to have persons like this than individuals that will ask questions and will say no comment and they will never comment on it for the rest of their lives, or will try to form some level of intelligence by commenting on a situation or a subject matter that you have no competence for. We are no longer kids. Nobody will flog you. Let me use that language as however easily as it is. I have how many people in this class? If one person does not ask a question, I cannot call Lisa and say, please, this particular person did not ask a question. Can we penalize him from not graduating from this class? No. What do we have as your criteria for graduation? Attending class, participating in your pseudo parties, your assignments. And so the best practices the due processes have been done. And so we'll let the person graduate. So that also applies, in other words, to individuals that will be caught unguarded on camera. Should you not have an answer to it, you can basically request for a time to respond and have a platform where individuals can consume those responses effectively. Or if you don't have one, be ready to pay money for press releases so that members of the press will showcase your position with regards to the subject matter that you could not address earlier. Be you a governor, president, minister, director general, director, whatever position you are, or a political office holder, or an aspirant, or a candidate, a political party, or an election management body, you always have a window of opportunity to represent your facts or to control the narrative, as the case may be, all and every single time. It's just left for you to exploit it.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I think, is it network?
I'm here, I can hear.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, sir. I think that's the end of very educative class. I don't know if any team lead has announcement or anything. DED, ma'am, do you have any information to pass, ma'am?
Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin. It's been a very insightful class, as usual. I always learn, new things from your classes every time. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll just
Thank you.
allow the students to unmute and tell you thank you themselves, and then we'll call it an evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank you for the class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you,
Sir.
sir.
Enjoy your
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you.
Everybody.
It was awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Lovely
you so
night.
much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin. Do you want to drop
Thank
your
you
social
very much.
media? So maybe they want to follow you.
Okay, so on X, at Kevin SDG Radio,
Okay.
and on
Twitter, on Instagram, I am at Kaiser Lord. And basically, you have a direct link through the college to reach any of us. And so
to reach us, feel free to reach us through Lisa or through our very capable ED, Kule Lawal, and we'll be glad to be of assistance. Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure having you. Thank you, everyone.